So I am pretty solid at inking, honestly. My lines are loose. They don't follow my sketch exactly. They never do, but I'm pretty decent at it. So I'm just skipping through this pretty quick. I just kind of wanted to show the process a little bit. Then we get into the watercolors where I don't know what I'm doing. So the fish I'm basing this on is the ghost catfish. This was another mermaid prompt. It was iridescent. The ghost catfish is normally kind of translucent, kind of clear. Its bones are black and you can see through it. The fish is from Thailand, so I used the world of averages faces just to get a reference for a Thai person's face. I thought if the fish was from Thailand, then the mer should be too. And I think I know I go too dark, but I think I start too dark with the skin. So the lightest colors in my complexion palette are a peach and a pink, which as a white person, peach and pink are pretty basic in my skin tone colors. If you look up Humane by Angelica Das, which I'm probably saying both of those things wrong, you can see the Pantone colors of a crap ton of people. And people of East Asian descent generally have like tan or peach. I should have used peach here as their base skin tone. Tan seemed like the right choice at the time. I don't think it was. The skull and the ribs kind of are black in the ghost catfish. I didn't want to do her whole face black. It felt like the wrong vibe. Doing her actual ribs and her jawbone felt like it was being honest to the fish. And that black is actually iridescent because, as I said, iridescent was the prompt. Basically here I'm just putting in more of the ribs, bunny quotes, because the fish have them all the way down their body, so I thought I might as well do that. I have a whole palette of just iridescent colors, so this off-white is just something I have. Later on I'm going to go through, put a plain white over her belly and do a different iridescent white there, so her belly and the rest of her tail are different colors, but at first I do this whole bit the same color and didn't like it. You will also note I have bad control over where my colors go. It's because I have bad control over my water, so I'm going kind of out of the lines. Normally I don't care, but on this one I was really frustrated with it. I won't say I screwed this up. I didn't do what I intended. I got a lot more pigment on my brush than I meant to, and it got way darker than I wanted it to. It's also in the wrong spot. The orientation of the notebook in this shot is wrong, so she's on her side. And I wanted the light source to be above her, not in front of her. So I'm doing my light source from the wrong spot, and I will just have to live with that later, but I didn't notice it at this point. I was just going and not thinking about my composition. I felt really out of control of my water and my colors, so I got out a miniature paintbrush and started using that. I don't know if that was a good idea. I mean, it definitely got me through the cracks and crevices, but like to use it over large spaces like I ended up doing, I think that was probably a bad plan. I just felt really out of control though, and I felt better when I had that. I don't think it was more effective, but I certainly felt better. I don't think the contrast in her skin was too much in retrospect, but at the time it felt like it was. And so I worked to get that contrast down, and I think it makes her too dark, but I don't know. This is where the rainbow iridescence come in, and I started having lots of fun. I like rainbows. This is the part where I redo her stomach and also the tips of her barbells, and it was there wasn't a huge point to it, but I preferred it, even though it's not terribly noticeable. This is the correct orientation, and this is me doing the ends of the barbels in the plain white. So I'm gonna start her hair with an orange, just as an undertint. It's gonna stay orange for a while. It's gonna look like it's gonna stay orange forever, but it does get dark. Most hair does have a sort of undertint of some color, and red's actually pretty common. The rainbow down her back took longer than it ought to have. Like, obviously it had to dry, but also I got the colors wrong and had to mix them or accidentally mix them because I didn't have control of my water. My original plan was to have multiple tints, multiple undertints, and kind of shades to her hair. I failed to do that, but that was the original intent. I managed to pull off a gradient here, and I was like, I figured it out! I had not figured it out. That sense of false confidence did not do me any good. So her hair had dried. I had managed the gradient before. I was like, I can do it again. I could not do it again, but I put a lot of effort into trying. I will spend the rest of this video chasing that gradient and failing, but I wanted it bad. I do manage accidentally to get a few gradients, but not as I intended to. This paper was pre-warped. It came pre-warped. I had it in my bag for work. It was like a work sketchbook, and tea spilled on it. Like my morning tea got spilled on it and it warped. That doesn't help with the watercoloring at all. I'm adding some yellows and tans to the hair here. I'd figured out my lighting was wrong and was trying to fix it. Didn't really work. I was happy with myself here. I got much darker than I meant to, but I didn't freak out about it. There also wasn't an eraser bit on her chest. So I'm going over her hair again, just trying to make it work. Didn't really. Doing the tail and going darker than I mean to, because that's the theme of this piece. I am bipolar, and when I'm manic I like to shop. That's why I've got so many art supplies, in case you were wondering. There we go, much darker than I meant to. I also move my brush like I'm using a colored pencil. I don't know if that's like normal and standard. I need to look up more videos of it. This is an ink wash, not a watercolor, and the pre-warping of this, again, does not help at all. I get out that miniature brush to get in those crevices and go much darker on theme between that tail than I mean to, and then I try and drag that darker blue down into the rest of the water to help. I think this ink wash ends up looking pretty bad. I think the mermaid looks okay by the end, but this ink wash it does her no favors. There's that warp. And my stained fingers. That's the shiny and the iridescent that I had going on. I quite liked it. Then I end up going back over with a brush pen. I am not great with brush pens, but I wanted to try them. I want to learn how to use them. That's the point of this. And here's where I screw up. I did not mean to go that dark on the inner lines, and I'm like, well, shame. I gotta do that on all of them now. So I start working that. I was very frustrated about it. I struggled with the barbells and getting the lines thin enough. I didn't. Then I realized, hey, I can use a thinner pen and build up the lines. I do switch back to the brush pen. Like I said, I want to learn how to use it, and that means working with it. I do the micron on the tail because I wanted it to look fine and neat. I also clean up some tangents with that, which I was glad I noticed those. I add lines and strands to her hair, and it looks a lot better. Those real thick lines in her hair did not look good, at least not alone. If I'd added more, they might have looked fine. Just like the 3 and the few in where her hair is pulled back didn't look great. This is where I fill up again. There. I shade in her shoulder and I go, shame. I gotta just shade her whole body now. If it's broke, don't fix it. I did not mean to shade her shoulder like that and give it a dark shade. I just did it by habit, and I was like, I guess I have to do the whole body now. It actually worked out. I think it helps me get my lighting better. Not perfect, but better. If you're gonna filth though, go all out. Sometimes it might work out for you, honestly. I think she looks okay by the end, except that ink wash C. That C is terrible. Here you go.